Okay, now that I've got that hauled out of the woods, it's much easier to work with. So that's kind of a simple method I use. I have this rear bucket on the tractor. I find it more effective than the front end loader and less tippy. If you've driven one of these John Deere 1025s or 1023s, I find them they have a high center of gravity and they're super tippy, super tippy. In fact, I think they're overdeveloped as far as how much horsepower they have and what they put on them. The loader can lift too much, or it tells you it can, but when you try, it offsets the balance of the tractor. There's plenty of ways to counterattack that, is like by loading your tires or getting a weight box. But my 40-year-old Massey Ferguson 1010 had a low center of gravity, 16 horsepower, and that little thing could chug along like a tank, and I never once felt like it was going to tip. But anyways, I digress. This is the bucket I bought years ago that was on my Massey. I just hook a chain on it. The 3-point hitch is plenty powerful to lift, and I wrap the chain in such a way, and sometimes it takes a bit of work, but I lift the nose of the log off the ground and helps drag it a little easier. Now, this log I just measured. It's just under 23 feet long. So it's a bit too big to be dragging out to the garden for my log pile. And I'm not going to really need a 20-foot beam. You never know. Some of it's not that usable at the end anyway. So I may just cut it in half, 12 feet. Hopefully at the end of the day you end up with good usable 10-foot lumber or 8-foot. You know, that's just the way it goes. You never know until you cut into it, I guess. So I'll get it moved out to the garden where I'm storing it for the winter after I cut it, and I'll show you how I load it onto that pile. So now that I've dragged it out to the field and the wood pile, after making a huge gouge in the lawn, which I really can't help, I have to get these trees moved. I'll unhook it and I'll use the front end loader to gently roll it up there with the others. Eventually I'm only going to be able to get so high because that little loader and tractor can only handle so much. But with some playing around with the bucket, you can kind of angle it and tip it up there. So I'll put the camera on the front of the tractor so you can see what I mean. Well, you can see that took me a couple of attempts, and it's because I didn't square up with the log evenly, and there's a little more on one end than the other. And that's okay. It just takes a couple of extra tries, and essentially you just kind of have to tip the bucket enough that you have enough tilt and use the tilt of the bucket to kind of curl it onto the logs here. And I'm working with different sizes of logs that I use for the base. So that's how I move logs with my John Deere 1025. It's takes a bit of time, but it certainly saves the physical effort on the back and everything else, because these logs are quite heavy. You'll see that I put these bolt-on hooks on my bucket. I haven't quite used them a lot yet. I find that when you put a lot of weight on these chains and you're pulling and turning, I'm worried about putting too much torsion or flex on the loader arms, and I don't want to really wreck the loader. The 3-point hitch is a little sturdier. So now I've just got to get all these pine trees trimmed, and I'll be able to use some of these. They're nice and straight. I'll get them onto the pile, and hopefully I'll have a mill next year. If you have any questions, folks, let me know, and thanks for watching my channel.